somebody. I want some who don't mind beating them. They want them body. I want them hitters who packing them pistols. I swear one of them guys drop. Numerous who wanna get laid. Swear one of them
Welcome to Always Auburn with your host, Tyler Crane.
All right, we are back at you with Always Auburn, coming at you Wednesday morning as we are getting into the middle of the week, headed into the weekend. It's almost kind of amazing to me that we're already at Wednesday and we have a game coming up in about 3 more days. I'm still stuck in Saturday night at Jordan-Hare Stadium and trying to make sense of all of it and get over just the heartbreak and the disappointment that I saw on the field Saturday. But we're going to try to do that. We're going to talk about Missouri, and we're going to look at their offense today. But before we get into that, I want to go back to the Georgia game just one more time. And I'm not going to spend a long time on it. And I'm not really even going to talk about the outcome of the game. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think it is just a complete lack of character. I've looked at it over and over again and watched it, saw the lip reading. What Kirby Smart did on that field Saturday night is just it is exactly what you don't want for a person who's in a position to lead young men. He promoted a message that if you can lie, if you can cheat, then do it and get away with it, then it's okay. That's what he did when he lied on national television and continues to lie on national television when he's asked about that play in press conferences and this, that, and the third. He shows no accountability for his actions, and he continues to lie on top of lies. And I really think people should take a deep look at that. Like, this is, we are so quick to judge people who make mistakes in life and have to redeem themselves, but we're promoting a message that just because you win a football game that it's okay what you did. Well, it's really not. It is complete dishonesty. It's a lie. It's unethical. It's a lack of integrity towards the game. And I don't care about what Hugh Freeze did in his past. For all you Georgia fans who are going to get on here and say, I can't believe you're talking about this. Look what Hugh Freeze did. Guess what? Hugh Freeze answered for what he did. I don't know how all that played out, but he that black cloud's over his head. People know what he did at Ole Miss, and he continues to be called up upon it and things, and people talk about it and all that. Nobody is checking Kirby Smart for what he did on that sideline, and everyone can see what he did on that sideline. So he ought to be ashamed of himself. The University of Georgia ought to be ashamed of themselves because they lack even pointing towards him as having to be accountable for what he did. When you go to Georgia and play football, this is your head coach, someone who will stand on that sideline and do things that are out of the character of an honest person. And that's what he did Saturday night. I don't care that they won the football game. That doesn't decide the football game. I know. Trust me, I know that I'm not talking about the outcome of the football game. I'm just talking about where we are in the world, and that's what we allow to happen at what is supposed to be an honorable place like a university, a college, where kids have the privilege to go play football on national television. And we promote lying. We promote doing whatever you have to do to win, even if that means breaking the rules and exposing your character in a way that is negative. That's what Kirby Smart did Saturday night on that field when he lied to the refs after it's clear what he was really doing. And then he lacked the accountability and the responsibility to tell the truth about it. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I'm sure I'll catch some backlash and all that, but it is what it is. You know, people get their feet held to the fire for a lot lesser things in life than what he did on national television. So Kirby Smart should have to answer for what he did and not simply cover it up with some bull crap like, oh, I was clapping and this, that, and the third. Next question. We're worried about Ole Miss. Nah, it shouldn't work like that. But nevertheless, let's get to Missouri. Let's get to Missouri because we got a game this weekend, Auburn. I say it, I continue to say it. Even though it's been very disappointing so far, and our future looks quite bleak right now, in my opinion, throughout the rest of the season. That doesn't change the fact that you still got to go out there and play ball. People still bought tickets to these games. The referees are still going to show up. The Auburn faithful still going to show up. It's going to be loud Saturday night in Jordan-Hare Stadium again. It's going to be another outstanding environment, and you have to show up as a football team to play. So who we were playing, the Missouri Tigers. They came off their first loss last weekend in a pretty tough game against the Crimson Tide where they fought to the end. Went down there, scored a touchdown to cut the lead to 3 points at the end of the game, then battled on defense to get the ball back. They just couldn't finish. They threw a pick, and it is what it is. But they did some things that Auburn doesn't do, that has not done so far, that when it's the fourth quarter and you got to go down there to get points to keep yourself in the game, they went down there and did that against a tough Alabama defense. So don't get it twisted, Auburn. We can be sad all we want to about the way this season's going so far. That doesn't negate the fact that a good football team, a top 25 football team that is coming off their first loss of the season and really wants some get back probably and is ready to get back out there on the field, is coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium Saturday night with a very tough offense led by Ahmad Hardy, who is a sophomore. He's top 3, 4 in the country in like all the statistics that matter towards running backs. I think he's number 1, maybe 1 or 2 in total yards this season. He's in the top 3 in yards per game. He's number 2 in yards after contact, which that is a very underrated and underappreciated stat as a running back. It really shows that you're tough and that it takes more than one player to tackle you. You don't go down easy. That's how big runs get extended, and that's how you really tack on yardage and how you really dominate a defense if you can run through tackles. And he continues to do that. The stat doesn't lie. He's number 2 in the country in yards after contact. So look for Ahmad Hardy. They run a lot of a kind of a fine point of Eli Drinkwitz since he's been there, and Kirby Moore's the offensive coordinator, is they like to run a lot of outside zone read with the tailback. They run the zone blocking scheme, but instead in the inside, they like to stretch it and go wide with it, try to get the defense running horizontally. And it's almost like it's a zone read. So you pick as the running back, when you get the ball, you stretch it and you kind of pick a gap, you pick a hole where you see daylight and you accelerate upfield. But it's meant to go wide. It's meant to get the defense moving and trying to get them out of position and to create a seam. And you let the running back kind of use his creativity and his ability with his eyes to find the seam in that stretch. And then when he does find the seam, it's about hitting it and getting upfield, getting vertical. So Auburn has to be very disciplined with their eyes. We've not faced a team. Georgia kind of really ran straight at us for the most part. They did go off tackle a couple times, and really, I think they had their best gains as far as running the ball when they kind of stretched a little bit. Auburn's very good at stopping the run in between the tackles. They're very good at it. But when teams try to stretch it off tackle and go wide and off the edge, it calls for some different looks, and all that kind of congestion that we get in the middle that is a fine point in stopping the run really gets exposed at that point. And if you can kick the edge and the linebacker's late or he takes the wrong window, then it really opens up the seam there and we can be in trouble. And with a good running back like Ahmad Hardy, you're going to have to get to the ball and gang tackle him. He breaks a lot of tackles. So it's not just going to be a one-man show. You know, you would hope so, but at the end of the day, he's a good tailback. He prides himself on being able to run through people. If there's an extra defender, if a offensive lineman misses a scheme, misses a block, is not in the right place, doesn't get to the second level, doesn't chip well, has bad eyes, and there's a free defender that's able to fill the hole, Ahmad Hardy, from what film shows, he's able to take on that free defender and usually win in that situation. So that makes it even more difficult. We're going to have to be very disciplined with our eyes at the linebacker position, and the defensive line is really going to have to focus this week on kind of taking away that wide zone that they like to run so much. That is a staple of Eli Drinkwitz's offense throughout his time at Missouri. It's a very balanced offense as far as kind of what I wish Auburn would be. They use the run. They're stubborn with the run because they believe that running opens up the passing game and just opens up the entire offense and creates uncertainty on the defense. You never know what's coming. So they're going to stay true to the run. And they believe that their tailbacks can bust some good runs that can get into the teeth of our defense a little bit and reach the second levels and get things rolling. And that's when they open their offense up. They have a few good receivers. Like I said, the main part of their offense is really their running game, but they do have some receivers, Kevin Coleman, Marquez Johnson, and they have a tight end, Brett Norfleet, who they use a lot. And they all they don't have an overwhelming amount of catches, don't have an overwhelming amount of yards on the season. But when the ball's thrown their way, they make plays. And their ability to be successful really comes from the running game opening up the passing game. And their quarterback, Bo Prabula, excuse me. Their quarterback, he's a senior. He's been there. He's developed, and he's playing well. Now, he did have 2 interceptions against Alabama last week, and Alabama to that point, they had played South Carolina, but Alabama to that point, but South Carolina's kind of fell off. They've been a disappointment so far this year. I think the injury with Lenore Sellers really took a toll on them. I know he's came back, but it just it slowed up their momentum in the season, and they really haven't been able to respond from that. And Missouri played them after the fact, and it was a good game. I think they won 29-20. Missouri did, but Alabama by far was their best competition. I think Alabama was probably the hottest team probably in the country right now, just after the way everything unfolded with the first weekend against Florida State and them having a disappointing loss and the whole world really saying like, okay, Kalen DeBoer, are you really the guy for the job? And they really have responded and put that on film against Georgia and Vanderbilt, who's not the same Vanderbilt we historically know. And they're really – and then a tough Missouri team on the road last week who was undefeated, number 14 in the country at that point. And Alabama's just really on the roll. And for Missouri to play them so well, they're tough. They are tough, and their defense is tough. And Prabula, he had some trouble, throwing the picks Saturday morning. He had only had 3 headed into that game, and he now has 5 on the season. But he's a very dynamic quarterback, versatile. He can do a lot of things. He can make the throws. He's also deadly in the read plays, the read option plays where he has the power to pull the ball and read the defensive ends, read the linebackers, and get upfield. He's a threat with his legs. So there is a lot of things you have to worry about in the backfield at Missouri. Their other running back, Jamal Roberts, he's right next to Ahmad Hardy. It's him, the quarterback, Prabula, and Jamal Roberts and Ahmad Hardy. They are a 3-headed snake, really, in that backfield, and it's dangerous. It's not much of a fall off. There's been games, one of those games that Hardy and Roberts played in, they both against Kansas. They both rushed for over 100 yards in that game. So in Kansas, say what you want to about their defense, there's still a quality opponent over there. It's not like playing UMass or Ball State. So if you got 2 running backs who go over the century mark, that's saying something. And they did that. Prior to the Alabama game, Hardy had over 100 yards in every game so far this year. So this is a strong rushing attack. Georgia kind of does it by committee, and they were a strong rushing attack too. But they don't really have premier backs that are doing what Ahmad Hardy's doing in the SEC. If you ask anybody right now who the best running back in the SEC is, just single running back, who has the ability to take over a game at any point in the game, they're going to point to Missouri's sophomore running back, Ahmad Hardy. I'm almost certain. And it's showing. So Auburn's really going to have their hands full with him. They're going to have to tackle well, corral him, get him to the ground. And if they don't and things start to open up for Missouri, then we've seen Missouri kind of get in their bag on the offensive side of the ball, and it opens up a lot. And Auburn has done well in pass coverage here lately, but I don't care who you put out there on defense and how well they're doing in pass coverage. If an offense is balanced and you're on your heels as a defense, and you're playing you're playing on their pace, on the offense's pace, it's hard to cover the pass and have to pay attention to play action and really have to commit yourself to stopping the run. So that opens up things over the top. So Auburn's defense is going to be faced with a challenge this week. Do I think they answer the bell? They haven't showed me that they're not capable of it. They've answered the bell ever since we had questions about Auburn's defense after the Baylor game, with just the way Baylor was able to throw all over us in that second half. Auburn's defense has really stepped up to the plate. It's a shame. Man, it's a shame, because there are some very good, young, talented players throughout that whole defense. And just like the fans deserve better, the defense really deserves better. Those guys show up, they go to work, and it shows Saturday on the field. They really are a good unit. They got frustrated on that last drive of the half. I really feel like they got frustrated because some calls didn't go their way. But even with all that frustration, they kept Georgia out of the end zone. And I talked about it, they weren't able to do it against Oklahoma at the end of that game. And I really think they took that personally. And I think if you give Auburn's defense a chance to win the game, if our offense can find a way to give our defense a chance to win the game at the end of games going forward, I think, especially at home, they'll find a way to do it. I talked about it yesterday. I don't think if Eric Singleton is hit in stride early in that first drive, Auburn had the only drive really that Auburn had the ball in the fourth quarter, early in that fourth quarter, and he takes it to the house, because he would have took it to the house unless the turf monster reaches up and grabs him as he's strolling into the end zone. I don't think Auburn's defense gives up a touchdown for Georgia to go up at that point. It would have been 17-13, and Georgia would have had to score a touchdown in the fourth quarter to go back up, and even get back in a position to win the game. And I don't think Auburn's defense would have gave up a touchdown at the end of that game. I just don't see it happening. So, Missouri's they're going to pose a threat for us, and got to be ready. I mean, as much as it's hard to do right now, just with everything surrounding Auburn and the season, you got to keep showing up. That's the only way it's going to change. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep fighting. You can't change the past. It's over with. It hurts. It's in our hearts. It's in our minds. But the way you start coming out of all this is you start winning football games. And Georgia is a bitter rivalry that we wanted it bad. God, we wanted it bad Saturday night. It was time for things to change in that rivalry and get back on track for Auburn. But Missouri, even though the rivalry and the hatred's not there and the passion isn't as just built into the game as what it was against Georgia, Missouri is still a top. I think they're 16 in the country right now. So it's a big statement if we can go out there and win this game. It'll demonstrate that even though we've struggled and we haven't found a way to win these games, that we're still a good football team. Missouri is a good football team. They fought Alabama to the wire. And see, that's the difference in how we're losing these games. And Coach Freeze says we're close, and I don't know how true that is, because yeah, the score is close, but I don't know how really close we are to turning this thing around into a winning culture. Missouri, the way they fought back against Alabama, they were down 10 with less than 2 minutes. Same position Auburn was in that Georgia game. And they didn't quit. They marched the ball down the field, scored a touchdown, had timeouts, gave the ball back to Alabama, used their timeouts, and Alabama had to punt them the ball, and they had the chance to go down there and make something happen at the end of the game. Now they threw a pick in desperation time, but hey, it is what it is. You put yourself in a position to win the game at the end of the game when you were already down 2 possessions at the end of the fourth quarter, towards the end of the fourth quarter. There was no quitting them. They didn't feel like the game was over just because they were down 2 possessions with less than 3 minutes in that game. That's the difference in a losing culture and a winning culture. Everybody was leaving the stadium in Jordan-Hare Stadium when we went down 2 possessions. Now it's different circumstances, don't get me wrong, but hey, they didn't quit in Missouri. And they went down there and scored a touchdown. It looked like Auburn's defense succeeded. Like when we got the ball back with 2 minutes left in that game, even though we were down 10. Man, I've seen crazy things happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium. What happens if you go down there and score a touchdown and get the ball and do an onside kick and something finally goes your way? It bounces off one of the Georgia players' face mask and we catch it, and you got a chance to tie the game up with a field goal. You can't quit, Auburn. And they did. They did. When Georgia scored that touchdown to go up 10 points with 2 minutes left in the game, it was over with. Everybody and not just the players, the fans, everybody in the stadium. I stayed. I soaked it in. I'm a pain freak. I took it in, all of it. And I stayed. But it's just it's a losing culture. I saw people leaving the stadium before Georgia scored the touchdown. When they kept driving and kept getting first down after first down after first down, and it was really demoralizing, you saw a lot of orange shirts walking down those steps, headed towards the ramps and headed out the stadium. You really did. And that's sad because, you can point to history. There's so many games when it didn't look good late in the game in the fourth quarter. Go back to that 2013 Iron Bowl. Alabama had so many chances in the second half to put that game away. I can remember 4th and 1s that the defense, that if they get that, we're talking about the kick six never happens. Field goals that Alabama missed, 30-yard field goals that they should have made that they missed, that kept Auburn alive. It's not over till it's over. And that's a part of the losing culture that is starting to be really, really kind of put out there at Auburn. And it carries over to the fans. It's a cancer. It spreads. And you saw it Saturday night. Before the clock struck 0, everybody in the stadium had gave up. The players had gave up. Coach Freeze had gave up. The play calling stopped. And we didn't care anymore. So you got to get rid of this losing culture. What's in the past is in the past. We got Missouri this week, top 25 team. It's at home. It's at night. The fans are going to show up. And let's start. It's got to change somewhere. It's got to change somewhere. It's going to change. There's too much money poured into this program. There's too much passion in this program. There's too much tradition in this program. If Ole Miss is able to do what they're doing. I looked at the SEC standings today. They are the number 1 team in the SEC. Ole Miss. They probably hold 40,000 in that stadium. Vaughn Hemingway, I think that's the name of that stadium. They probably have 40,000 seats in that stadium, 50,000 at the most. Nowhere near the facilities Auburn has. If Ole Miss is where they are today, who's never won anything, go look at how many SEC championships the Ole Miss Rebels have. It's a big 0. If they are able to do what they do and compete like they do, there's no reason Auburn shouldn't. And guess what? They might beat Georgia this weekend. for the second straight year. So it's got to change. It's got to change. It's got to start Saturday. We're with you. I'm with you. Auburn. I'm with the boys. You know, I say what you want about Freeze. I have my own personal opinions towards him. I've already shared that. I don't think he's the man for the job, but as long as he wears that hat, I'm going to support him because I support the logo that's on the front of that hat, and he's the man right now. So I support him. I'm going to root for him, and I hope he can change it. I'm a supporter as of now because of where he is and what position he holds. So I'll be there pulling cheering my lungs out for the Auburn Tigers, and hopefully we have some good things to say. We'll get back here tomorrow, and I'll do some film study tonight, kind of see what the players are saying, try to hear some interviews, maybe have something to talk about tomorrow as far as the offensive side of the ball for us and analyzing Missouri's defense and kind of forecasting that matchup there. And everybody have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow. Warrior!
Roads all great interior whenever it's cloudy. Every day better my growth from chasing health and wealth, not clout. Baddies under my belt, I cook like a chef on Mr. Chow. Hey, me going